Welcome to the Elements of Spirit, your weekly readings from ediblespirit.com. This is the reading for the element of ether for the week of January 7th, 2017, the second week of our year. These readings will offer you a read and a affirmation through each of the classical elements of earth, air, water, fire, and ether. This is the reading for ether, which sets a tone for the week in which all of the other elements are vibrating. So this is a reading for everyone, and then you go deeper into this series and find the reading which is associated with your primary element being your sun sign. So that's how this works, is you find the element that's connected with your sun sign. That description is in the description below this video. And then you can put the two things together, the reading and the affirmation, use them throughout the week in order to magically and mystically cultivate and call upon the various elements that are expressing themselves through you in order to maintain a balance with that primary element of earth, air, water, or fire. But for now, we will dive into the ether reading and see what is what. Ether. Okay, interesting. So the ether is speaking directly to us this week, and it's saying, I offer you freedom to do as you please. No man can take this from you, but the law will balance all in time. So be as you are and act as you are in a space of freedom. In a space of freedom. Interesting. I couldn't even read that. I just wrote it out. So in a way here, remembering, I've explained this to you before. If you've been watching these readings for a minute, you'll know what I'm talking about. But basically, everything in this universe is made up, or one can think of everything in this universe as being made up of some combination of these elements. And certainly of everything on this earth is being made up of some combination of these elements: earth, air, water, fire, and ether. All of these elements have manifestations on the physical plane, but they also have assignations on the non-physical planes. So the presence of earth on the emotional plane is like a grounded feeling. The presence of water on the mental plane can sort of soften rigidity, harshness, or over kind of clarity. So the idea is that everything exists as some combination of these elements. Our personalities can be thought of as watery, earthy, a little more fire, a little less. The astrological chart, water, more fire, more earth. But the ether is literally the space that pervades all of these. So, and also the space in which all of these are existing and vibrating. Ether can be thought of as either like a void of space or a plenum, a fullness of space in which all of these other elements are filling, right, or existing. So anyway, so the idea here is that ether is speaking to us as the space of freedom in our lives. The space to use or apply or combine any elements within you based on your intentions in terms of what it is that you're trying to do or be or align with or give or achieve. And as well as whatever's coming at you, right? Whatever circumstances you've attracted or whatever challenges you're confronted with, The ether is that space in which these things occur with you, in which you exist, but also in which these things come at you and in which they exist. And the idea is that that space is literally giving us the space to be, or to be exactly as we are, or to be inauthentically as we are, to just be whoever we are, right? Interesting. So I went into a Lebanese restaurant in the valley last night. It was really delicious, right? And I was basically wearing the same eyeshadow. I mean, you guys have seen me with some crazy shit going on here, but it's just like a very sensible matte chocolate brown and a little pink rose gold glitter shimmer liner. And I got some looks, and it was interesting because I didn't get riled up. I got some looks. I got some looks as I was leaving the restaurant about like, what's going on over here? And they were not happy looks. They were not like, ooh, cute looks. They were like, looks. It's interesting. And I noticed for the first time, I mean, I'm a grown-ass man now, not a kid anymore, but I didn't shrink. I stood up. Maybe I could have walked a little more slowly. I did kind of like zoom out because I was like, fuck, everybody's looking at me. But I let them look, and I stood up and I sat. So the idea is that in that moment, in that weird liminal moment, the choices that I had made, the stuff that was coming at me was in this kind of space where I could do whatever I wanted to do. And what did I do? I was just as I was. I looked the way that I looked, and I was moving the way that I was moving, and I moved through that space. And I caused some kind of mild agitation, let's just say, okay? Now, think about this concept of space, right? In opposition to the ether, right? A like space that's not free, right? That's what I think the ether is getting at today, is that I offer you freedom to do as you please. No man can take this from you, but the law will balance all in time. So be as you are and act as you will in a space of freedom. So there's something here which is like, what about when space is not free? What do you do then, right? Do you do something different? No, you gotta be as you are. And sometimes there's consequences for being as you are, but there's bigger consequences for being as you're not. And the idea here is that even if there are consequences, even if something negative happens because you are positively and lovingly asserting yourself, the idea here is to take a big picture POV and recognize that, as the ether says, the law will balance all in time. So what it just says to me is that if there are those who are expressing themselves not with love and not with truth, they may think they are expressing themselves with love and truth, and they may just be taking carte blanche to do whatever they want, to act as they will in a space of freedom as they see it, right? Are you doing the same, to act as you will in a space of freedom, even if it doesn't feel free? This is what the ether is spitting at us today. It's sort of about the consequences of acting as you please, being as you are, acting as you will, in a space of freedom. And the ether is reminding us that all spaces are spaces of freedom. Even if man, I meant to say man, even if mankind, even if, man, right, mankind, forgets that space is free, right? Even if there are regimes here and afar that do not believe in free space, the ether says space is free. If it weren't free, it wouldn't be space. It would be one of the other elements in manifestation. But space is free, and because there's space everywhere, and there's freedom everywhere, and so you have the freedom to act as you will. One might say, well, what if I live in a place where I can't act freely? Well, one might argue, at least in the context of this reading, that it's even more important for you to be as you are and act as you are and do as you will, as though you exist in a space of freedom, because you do, as the ether says. Now, the idea of being as you are and acting in truth and expressing that truth in a space of non-freedom, that's basically activism, right? It's a shame that well, it's not a shame, but it's funny what pops in. It's a shame that one might have to describe the idea of voting or exercising your civil liberties in America as an act of activism, because it's not. It's just supposed to be an act of democracy. But as space gets to feel less and less and less and less and less free, these basic rights that we have to be as we are, to choose as we will, to do as we please, become very important. Arguably, these ideas are what America was founded on. Maybe there's other ideas that, stimulated the idea of freedom, or maybe there was a different definition of freedom, or acting as you will, or doing as you please. But again, that's what's really at the core of this reading, is that the ether is saying, no, pretty sure I'm free. Space is pretty free. And if anybody tries to tell you otherwise, no man can take this from you, this freedom from you. The law will balance all in time. So even if the freedom seems to be taken from you, you may need to be an activist who sacrifices for the big picture, the long term, right? I mean, isn't this what being ready means? At the very least, we got to exercise the basic rights, the basic freedoms, acting as though we are in a space of freedom, asserting those rights, asserting those freedoms. Interesting. So I thought at first it was with every breath I am myself, but it's not. I wrote with every breath I express myself, with every breath I am myself, with every breath I express myself. It's really with every breath I express myself. And can you focus on that? Can you focus on, if you practice this mantra this week, or even for like a minute, can you focus on breathing and expressing your truth, expressing yourself as though this self is already there, as though this self is already perfect, but as though you, who I'm talking to, have a responsibility to express the fullness of this truth of this self. I express, with every breath, I express myself. So, sorry if this bores you, but I'm just got to explain it because it's coming through. There's two selves in here. There's the I and there's the self. So with every breath, I express myself. Which one's doing the expressing? That's kind of the point. So you want to try to find your way into that catch-22-ish paradoxical place of with every breath, I express myself. And I'm feeling it lifting me up, opening my heart, and doing the same thing that happened to me in the restaurant the other day. Getting that heart up and proud and open and strong and proud and open. Just because I'm doing the best I can to express myself. With every breath, I express myself. TBH. Last couple days, who cares, right? That's how I've been feeling. Like, great, so I'm expressing myself. Awesome. But this isn't about feeling. This is about fact. With every breath, you express yourself. With every breath, I express myself. I'm the only one who's going to do it that way. You're the only one who's going to do it that way. Everybody else is going to do it their way. not really giving a shit whether they're in a space of freedom or oppression or entrapment, right? Plenty of people will. So can you express yourself asserting that basic freedom? Maybe expressing yourself is asserting that basic freedom. The idea of this affirmation and this read this week is to charge both that expression of self and that basic freedom up so that we can see how it's inflected in your individual elemental readings of earth, air, water, and fire. So stay tuned. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter at Edible Spirit, on Facebook at Edible Spirit, or Facebook.com/Edible Spirit. Subscribe to these readings, YouTube.com/Edible Spirit, to get these in your inbox as soon as they're loaded up every week. And stay tuned. More good stuff coming ASAP. Love you. Bye.